As the world becomes more and more digitalized, depending on things like computers and the internet more than ever over the last few decades, it was an eventual likelihood that public services and the safety nets of our societies would eventually kind of follow suit. While those of us who've spent the majority, if not all of our lives in this time period may look back at the past like an antiquated backwards time period where things were controlled more manually and had less technological prowess, situations like what we're going to be talking about today are great examples of how this may have been a better overall situation for things that we rely on in our everyday lives. This video isn't here to bash technology or progress that we've been making as a species, but more to use an example to bring awareness to a growing threat and to also highlight that this threat is already here. Most people are simply unaware of things like this, but as we continue this digital trend, it seems more and more likely that we'll be seeing situations like this one unfold. To preface this video here, I want to explain some of the background behind all this, right? You know, your public city services, your city management, and much more, they've been catching up on this technology trend, right? While 100 years ago, it was probably extremely complicated to run the water and sewer network for an entire metropolitan area, you know, today, technology and software help do a lot of that heavy lifting. In fact, to get to more specific with this specific subject, city water services are helping to be managed with software that helps manage the additives in public water. But water isn't the only public service that's seen this happen. I mean, your power grids are managed with similar software to help detect errors in your power flows, diagnose critical issues, manage the overall power supply, and much more. But it doesn't stop there. However, recently we saw a prime example of how these new age safety mechanics can also become extremely dangerous safety threats if not properly watched or handled. This is a situation that could have turned catastrophic, to put it simply, with countless people being affected. That's because hackers recently targeted the water supply of an entire Florida town, and the medical consequences could have been dire. Technology simplifies our lives, but also provides new threats that we haven't seen before. Dashlane is a secure, easy-to-use everyday tool for your PC, phone, or tablet. Dashlane saves you time and headaches by auto-generating your passwords and stores all of them for a simple one-click login process. Using Dashlane, you don't have to waste time resetting passwords or manually entering credit card information. It just works with 2 clicks. In addition to storing your digital information, Dashlane has a built-in VPN to prevent you from being tracked online. Dashlane's encryption makes it one of the most secure ways to store your digital information as well. You can try Dashlane for free on your first device at www.dashlane.com/Optimus, and if you decide you want to upgrade to premium so that you can use Dashlane everywhere, you can use my code Optimus for 10% off. Thank you to Dashlane for sponsoring the video. In the city of Oldsmar, Florida, just a few miles from Tampa, a hacker recently was able to access the control panel of the local water supply system and make changes that could have severely injured and poisoned nearly 15,000 residents that get their water through the plant. I mean, people showering, drinking a glass of water, or washing their hands could have been subjected to a dangerous amount of sodium hydroxide, also known as lye, which is supplied in the water in minuscule amounts. This also just took place right around the time that the Super Bowl was being played in Tampa, just a few miles away from the location of the hack, which only raises more questions about how something like this could have been catastrophic on a grand scale had it happened at the right place at the right time. An operator inside of the water plant who monitors the control panel noticed 2 different attempts to access the controls. One time in the morning, which was seemingly uneventful and was also chalked up as a supervisor logging into the program. However, later in the afternoon, the worst fears became much more real when the computer running the program was remotely accessed by a hacker. The computer mouse was now in control of that person or people who infiltrated the security of the plant. They used their control of the plant to increase the amount of sodium hydroxide, also known as lye, from 100 parts per million to over 11,000 parts per million. By exponentially increasing the amount of lye in the water supply, it put tens of thousands of people in immediate danger, as lye in heavy quantities can cause a slew of awful health effects. For instance, lye is the primary active ingredient in many cleaning products, especially drain cleaners. Sodium hydroxide is considered heavily corrosive and can cause severe irritation of the skin and eyes. In fact, contact with the eyes has the ability to cause permanent blindness in people. Sodium hydroxide can easily break down living tissues and can cause severe chemical burns on skin. Ingesting sodium hydroxide can severely damage your mouth, your throat, and your stomach. It can cause vomiting, diarrhea, and severe nausea, and as the amount of lye was increased exponentially, the possibility and likelihood of people suffering from these awful medical effects was significantly increased. Important to note, and thankfully, however, is that the public was never put into true danger in this situation. In fact, the employee monitoring the program that was later infiltrated by these hackers was able to immediately reverse the changes made and reduce the level of lye in the water to the safe limit, and also keep it there. Now, nobody, thankfully, suffered any injuries, and the water provided to the public was never actually poisoned. But in this situation, it provides a pretty important look into the potential disaster that could have unfolded. I mean, thinking about these possibilities is scary, right? Hospitals in the United States have already been overflowing with like COVID-19 patients, and many medical facilities have already been put into extreme stress trying to control the pandemic, right? And had thousands of people in this area been poisoned to this manner, local emergency rooms could have been flooded with an unfathomable amount of patients dealing with these things. It likely would have unfolded to become a national crisis in all reality. I mean, the government federally probably would have had to step in. But when you think about it, this should already be a national crisis. I mean, like I've said, we've seen these public facilities become more and more dependent on these types of technology. And that can leave them extremely vulnerable. I mean, in this instance, nobody got hurt, but let's say that employee took a lunch break for a few minutes and nobody was even there when that happened. What if the employee wasn't paying attention? What if they were watching Optimus videos, right? What if the hacker cut access to the controls and somehow rendered the plant operators useless? I mean, there's a lot of outcomes that really could have happened, and thankfully, the outcome we got wasn't horrible. But that doesn't mean there isn't the potential for problems going forward. I mean, when you realize that traffic controls, power grids, water supplies, emergency services are often controlled with software like this, and operators designated to use these tools to their advantage, I mean, you realize just how much of society is being left vulnerable to these kinds of attacks. And as this shows, I believe, not enough safeguards are being put into place to protect them, and this isn't even the first time something like this has happened. In fact, Israeli water supplies reported several attempted security breaches in 2020, and another failed attempt to hack a US water supply made rounds in 2016. The danger is clearly there, and it's up to government officials to do something about it, but people also have to be aware that this is even a problem that they should be worrying about. Now, also keep in mind, additives, they're put into water all the time. Like, a lot of people are going to be like, well, why are they putting, lye into the water? But keep in mind that the amount that's placed into the water is supposedly safe for human use and consumption. Many additives are placed into the local water of places all over the country to enrich the flavor of water, to keep it clean, and more, supposedly. But these additives in water have also been pretty controversial. I mean, conspiracy theorists have suggested for a long time that additives in water are basically being used for population control purposes. Now, of course, the normal levels, they're not going to have the amount of lye that a drain cleaner has. Even then, it really doesn't matter. The situation overall is avoidable, and thankfully it was stopped in time. But also worth noting, like, imagine if the worst happened in a major metropolitan, right? Of course, this is a smaller community in Florida. It's, a drive away from Tampa or whatever. But, like, what if this were to happen in somewhere like New York City and nothing was done to stop it? Like, they actually got through, they infiltrated the water somehow, and they legitimately could have poisoned countless people in somewhere like NYC. And then, like, what if the government, what are they gonna do? Like, if something were to happen in, like, LA, right? What if the traffic control there is just breached and they can't do anything about it and people are turning off stoplights, causing accidents in the street? You know what I'm saying? Like, the possibilities when it comes to the public infrastructure being attacked like this, they're infinite, and that's not in a good way. It's not a good thing that the possibilities are endless here, right? This is something that you don't want. It's a situation you may think isn't important, but really it is. I mean, the modern society is built on technology until it comes time for security. And this isn't a trend that's gonna, like, stop, right? We're not talking about, like, 2021 is the end of the technological advancements here. We're done right here. No, this is gonna continue. Eventually, it'll probably get to the point where essentially everything is handled by bots or scripts or something for this kind of thing, but the possibilities when you think about them right now, man, like, it's scary. So this isn't the only type of scenario in which our security isn't being prioritized. I mean, the Russians just committed the largest cyber attack in history against the United States, breaching a significant part of the US government to the point that the true extent might not even be known for a long time. And we've been seeing this thing become more and more commonplace, but yet as a country, we have yet to address this situation or the possibility for more of them. And a situation like this helps underline the need to do so. I mean, we can't wait until people get hurt. We can't wait until water gets poisoned. We can't wait until the streetlights are shut off. We can't wait until people have no electricity to power their homes in the winter, right? We can't be waiting for things like this. We need to be proactive, and we need to actually get the bull by the horns here and tackle this problem before it becomes a legitimate problem. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, not poisoning the water, and signing out. You've seen cool stuff in your life before, but you've never seen cool shit like this. Introducing Horser. Are we sure what it is? Not really, but is it interesting? Absolutely. Optimus, what do all these luxury cars and videos of horses and nature have to do with Horser? They're specially crafted in that order to make you want to buy shit. To make you think to yourself, oh, this Horser brand represents luxury and wealth and nature, and I need that. So fulfill the advertisement's role and go buy it. Horser, keep it on you, or some shit like that.